Welcome back to the Dark Elf campaign, where last time we managed to defeat the Avalon invaders, but as more elves showed up, we still had to concede all the territory that was contested. Our armies went inland to try and take some new territory from the lizardmen. We took one territory, lost one territory, and now we're in the process of trying to regain the lead, moving south with our main force against the enemy's main force. We can't really hope to take on their stack while it's also in that town, because they'll get another stack of garrison troops which in many cases are actually better than their regular stack. So we need to at least bring up our reinforcement army. That means we need to wait around, but we can wait around productively. We can have the reinforcement army do this seemingly pointless ambush, but there is some point to it, because if I now stand here, the AI is more likely to come and attack me because it looks like my position is weaker. And that does actually work out. They come out of their town. They don't attack me though, they just come near and stand around. Not sure if they actually saw my second army. But with them standing there, that's better than being in the town, so we've achieved something, perhaps accidentally. I can get both of my armies to attack the enemy now. They retreat, they almost retreat all the way back to the town. And now our second army can't catch up to them, but our first army with Locke here can. And we can also use Lightning Strike in this situation. That way, even though they're now in range of the garrison, we can ignore it and just do this one-on-one army fight. We've got no particular advantage, it seems to be a balanced matchup, but this is still much better than going after them while they're in the town, so we've got to take this chance. We're going to be effectively the defender because of our ranged advantage. So to start off, we just sit around and start killing stuff at range with our 3 units of bolt throwers. This goes pretty well, targeting these nice big units of skinks, where we're probably going to hit with most of the shots with each volley. All good stuff. Soon they get closer, and now we're going to just try and keep them at bay while the ranged units keep doing their thing. They did come at us pretty hard on our right using some buffed units, but a unit of spears, a manticore and my melee specialist keep them out of the way. The rest of the line isn't under that much pressure relatively. The enemy have lots of ranged units themselves that are just hanging around, and now my crossbows are starting to shoot over the top of the line and they are doing the damage. Looks like Locke is holding the left flank down and keeping the enemy distracted on his own, and my front line is now advancing to partake in this fight. We are going to be gradually moving towards the point in this campaign where I'm going to rely more on ranged units as people have advised, and me just generally accepting that ranged units are officially the paradigm will happen eventually. For now, well, we've kind of won this fight. About 20 seconds later, the enemy are mass routing. That was a quick one. This is with the SFO submod that supposedly makes the battles last longer, but certainly doesn't appear to be the case from what I've seen so far. Maybe sometimes they feel a bit longer. Right here, not so much. By the way, CA actually did try to make the battles in Warhammer longer, but when we visited their development studios a few years back, they said that they found it was impossible. They just can't do it for some reason. They wouldn't divulge the technical reason, but they do want them to be less fast and give the player more chance to do stuff. Just can't be done, supposedly. Anyway, so we won that battle. While some enemy units survived, they have just retreated, so that doesn't matter so much. We'll take that hefty replenishment, and we are ready to go on with only minimal losses on our side, really. So yes, their army is deleted. I thought we might be able to besiege the town right now and get this next thing started, but no, we can't. So we'll have to do that next time, and we can bring up our reinforcements, of course. I think I might have cut it out of the last part or something, but I did go and retake that place off to the west of our home territory. The army that did that is now going to come back north to deal with various issues, one thing being that the Lothern army that we completely ran from in terror last time is still around, and now it's threatening to come down here, which would be trouble, especially for this Black Ark, which needs to get out of the way and hide in the corner somewhere. We need to free up our other armies by getting this whole siege over here done. I thought I'd be able to do it right now. I planned to attack with my reinforcement army and then just go right in to do this. But not only is the balance bar very far in their favour, but we're also not allowed to do it like before. I'm not sure if anyone told me what the reason is, or if the reason's even known. So why is it you sometimes cannot do a siege assault without any equipment? In this case we need to make some, and that's going to be a severe delay. Over the end turn sequence, Lothern don't attack us, so that's good. However, the It's a Lizardman faction that borders most of our territory decides they will attack us. So now we're in some real trouble. We're at war in like all directions, and we certainly don't have the troops to deal with this. there's only one thing to do, and that was to resolve the war with the Cult of Sotek immediately. At first I was going to do this assault this turn, but because I still don't have equipment, I'm still not allowed to do it, and the balance bar has actually become worse, because I think they recruited a lord into their town. But I can do this. We can actually just end the war because we've attacked them enough so far to convince them to get peace. That's going to make our life a bit easier, or at least it will if we can now get these forces to be somewhere more useful. The route to go east towards the Blood Swamp to defend against Lothern is actually pretty long, but we need to try and get there eventually, so our backup army will start going in that direction. Meanwhile, Lockyer is going to go south, because just south of the territory we're currently in is some of the Itza territory, so we might be able to strike there and keep the war out of our territory. Plus, the more time spent in enemy territory, the more opportunities we have to raid, which is always nice. Now, as I move forward to the first town, there is unfortunately an army here. We can attack right now, but I didn't feel like going up against both that army and the garrison with only my force. So instead, we're just going to kind of stand around outside the town and see if they leave, really. No particular plan there. Unfortunately, what happens is a full stack from the south comes up to reinforce. Then the army comes out to attack me, and that's not a good situation. Fortunately, we can then retreat and not be pursued. I'm guessing the full stack had no movement and the AI didn't feel like using just the smaller army. So nothing happens in the end, but now the enemy's defenses are stronger. We're probably not going to be able to take on all that stuff. And there's more bad news coming from the north. That territory we took from the Cult of Sotek is under threat, not only by some Skaven rebels, but by another Itza army, and I was wondering, how do they have an army up here of all places? It's so far from their territory. And I started thinking it couldn't be, could it? But yes, it can be. They have 2 more territories to the north, 3 more in fact, according to that at the bottom. So there's another block of territory. That's actually most of their territory, technically, up there. Meaning we're more surrounded than I thought. And of course, with Lothern rebuilding at the Awakening, overall the level of danger right now is rather high. We do now have a lot of stuff concentrated at the Blood Swamps to defend. If there was an easy way to do it, I'd put those shades from the Black Ark onto land, but it's just not that easy. I think I worked out how to do it eventually. In the meantime, need to do something with Lockyer, and I thought we can take advantage of the fact that here in the jungle, when you're off-road, you always have a high chance of ambush, so we can grab an 85% ambush chance just sitting here. While the enemy are unlikely to go in that direction, even if they don't, us just being invisible might cause them to make a mistake. Now Lothern come down from the Awakening with their army and attack the Black Ark. Annoyingly, we can't use the 2 stacks of troops next to the Black Ark in this situation because this is a naval battle. We retreat, and fortunately for us, we don't get pursued, so the Black Ark survives. Unlike our hag here, I had been sending a death hag to go up towards Pox Marsh and get some intel on what Lothern are doing. Unfortunately, a Lothern agent was hanging around nearby and wounds her, being much higher level, so that's the end of that plan. As for Itza, their main stack goes to the south and disappears from view, but their smaller army starts going to the north for some reason, and they walk right into the ambush zone, so now we're in business. It was pretty one-sided, so I could just auto-resolve that, and once I enslave the captives, the replenishment we get takes us back to nearly full strength, so that was pretty much a free win. Looks like to the north we're going to have to just give up that territory as more stuff sets up near our town, but that's okay. Now I've got this reinforcement army in our home territory that had been recruiting for the last couple of turns. Now I've got a couple of units of Shades, I've got a War Hydra and a War Chariot, some good stuff to bring over and help Lockyer, so they'll be on the way. But because of the way the terrain is, it's going to take a long time to actually get there, even though it doesn't look like it's very far. At the Blood Swamps, I tried a sneaky scheme. I decided to put my troops in the main army outside in ambush position in a little woods. So now the idea is that Lothern won't see the main army. They'll think the town is takeable and go for it, and then my main army will swoop in as reinforcements and we'll get an okay battle. As for Lockyer, I decided to move forwards at first to besiege the town. I thought we could easily get in, but after seeing the balance bar, I guess I was discouraged. I think we could have done that battle, given what we've seen earlier in this campaign, but then again, I was worried because I know there's a powerful full stack and I didn't want to take losses taking that town and then immediately get counterattacked. Instead, I thought I'll be more cautious until my other army arrives, then we can do more stuff. Instead then I decided to just raid and actually go look south to see if the army was just there, but no, it's not in view, and we'll see where it is in a second actually. The Lothern army goes away, so my plan near Blood Swamp didn't come to anything. Our northern territory gets attacked by that Itza army that's marauding around. Not going to contest that one, just going to take the loss, although we lose the battle but not the territory. I think they just sacked it, so we might still make a tiny bit of extra money from that place. And then the main Itza force reveals itself. It was going south to the place I must have rebuilt in the last part at some point. Now this battle isn't very good, but I thought, hang on, we might be able to do something here. Because if we can take out like one unit by just really focusing it down, that will make things easier for our main force afterwards. So I did challenge them here. The thing is, it did not go very well. My initial move was to have all of my archers be targeted onto these flying units, which are in theory weak against ranged attacks, but not in practice. It's so hard to actually hit them that you tend not to kill them, and they killed us real fast. They're an anti-infantry armor-piercing flying unit, meaning they're strong against everything we had on the field. And long story short, well, not very long story short, we lost everything and did absolutely no damage to the enemy because we didn't kill any models, even if we did take some of their health off, so that health regenerates straight after the fight. At the start of the next turn, we get the option to get rid of the Sword of Cain if we want, to avoid the various debuffs that come with it. I decided to keep it, which actually slightly increases the debuffs. We get public order debuffs everywhere, because people don't like me having it, it seems. That is a minor issue, because the Star Tower in particular has very bad public order. It's because I did do an economic strategy there. I've tried to put all the slaves we've captured in the Star Tower, because we have a building there that gives you more money based on how many slaves there are, so I'm trying to exploit them all to get some cash, but it does mean we've got a rebellion brewing over there. Now as for our next move, I'm going to be quite aggressive and move south, putting an ambush now on the road between the Itza main forces position and where we just were, so if they don't go for my home province, we'll have that ambush in a good position. I've got a sorceress over by the Star Tower. She in theory increases public order, but it's by like 1, so it's having negligible effect really. I considered doing something against the Awakening here, because it felt bad to just be sitting around with all these troops waiting for something to happen, because we're wasting money on it. But realistically, we can't attack. We need to use the full stack garrison at the Blood Swamps to have any hopes of defeating Lothern, so really we are just going to do nothing. Now though, Itza do what I hoped they would do actually. Their stack comes north and does walk into the ambush zone, so we have them here. The enemy appear to have a slight advantage, but still, we're going to have a positional advantage to start things off. I was checking out these flying units after they completely annihilated me in the last fight, and saw they had a ability or skill thing that lets them do more damage when their leadership is high, and the leadership is very buffed by the looks of things, so I'm guessing they're doing more than they're worth as a result. I wanted to take those guys out of the fight right away, so as the ambush starts, I went at them with both of my manticores to lock them down. The manticores, not being infantry and not being armoured, aren't going to suffer from those flying things' main offensive bonuses. We're going to have some issues though in this fight. One is that, as you can see, the enemy can just blow us up. They have a really simple, really effective spell. Click on a place and it explodes. That's the sort of spell I would like to have. It's coming from this Slan man, some sort of special wizard priest thing that the lizards get, who I'm trying to kill with Lockyer as the fight starts, but their commander is trying to kill Lockyer, and at the same time I've got my melee specialist running in to kill their commander. So we've got this killing train thing going on. I thought this would work for me. I figured Lockyer would easily take down that priest super fast, because he has the massive damage bonus from having the Sword of Cain equipped, and that bonus is, in theory, now larger than it was before because he has the hungrier Sword of Cain. We've got some bad news coming from the Manticores. They lost their fight with the enemy flyers, and they lost it quite convincingly as well. I'm guessing we're just at a different unit tier or something. Their stats are straight up better, so we couldn't take them down. This big group in the middle is a nice target for our bolt throwers, so that's good. But Lockyer has failed in his quest, leaving the melee specialist to tank everything. And here you can see above Lockyer there is no red glow indicating that he has the Sword of Cain. I think what actually happened in retrospect is that when I click that thing to continue having the Sword of Cain, what the game does is it takes away the Sword of Cain you have and gives you a new weapon, but because changing equipment takes a turn, for this turn I'm actually not wielding any weapon or any special weapon in the equipment menu. So he didn't have the Sword of Cain, and that's probably why that little strategy to take out the priest didn't work. Now we're in enormous trouble because that priest's going to keep throwing out all the spells and buffing his own side, maybe healing or something as well, I don't know. Basically, he's going to be trouble for us sitting there with like 2 health, but still all of his magical capacity. Looks like our melee specialist is going down in that big blob of enemies. Lockyer came back for a bit, but he's nearly dead, so I can't really use him for anything other than just mopping up some scraps there. And yes, these flying things at the back are causing huge trouble. They're just taking out my archers, my spears are trying to fight them, but are being taken out themselves since they're also weak against those flying things. Not good stuff, but the enemy's nice blob is still a good target for my remaining archers and bolt throwers. Tried to do that net thing on this other flyer unit. Seems they can sort of break free of it and move a bit while it's happening, and it wears off after a short time as well. So now they're coming at my main line. We're still actually winning this battle on the balance bar, but there goes another unit to that spell the enemy have. That just looks good. I want something nice and simple like that under my command. I guess the Black Ark has a spell that's a bit like that. Anyway, all we can do now is hope the bolt throwers kill enemies because we're out of units ourselves really. The enemy have taken enormous casualties. All the units they have are basically dead, which is why we're still winning on the balance bar. But they're just not going away, and the problem is, as it comes down to it, our units will run out of morale and leave before they're at the level of low strength that the enemy are able to achieve. There was another fight going on in that forest over there, but it's mainly a few of my units getting slowly killed by enemy skinks, nothing too exciting. These flyers need to go down, and at this stage I'm trying to shoot them with the bolt throwers. This proves to be not very effective, I'm guessing because their models kind of jump around all over the place. They're pretty hard to target. I then targeted the enemy's priest at the back here. Because he's nearly dead, we only have to hit him a couple of times to take him out. And there we go, no more big explosive magic from him, and his frog spirit goes up to heaven or what have you. Lore insert here. So that's that out of the way, and we are still quote-unquote winning, but now the flying things have got to our bolt throwers, and looking across the field, the bolt throwers are actually the only thing we have. We've got some scraps that are still alive here and there, but they're going to have no offensive potential because so many of the models in their units are dead. So really the bolt throwers need to take out everything, and they're not going to be able to do that, is the summation of how this battle ends up going. The flyers are on top of the bolt throwers taking them out, and here you can see enemy units walking about. They're so nearly dead, but they're just not routing or going away. And this was something that interested me, and I'll now cut to a clip I got in the actual footage playing the battle. You can see I'm playing it on slow motion. I was trying to get good micro. I played the entire thing in slow motion, in fact, to maximize our potential. Obviously it wasn't enough to avoid this very bad situation, but maybe I'm not entirely to blame because I was checking out the stats on this one guy. This is the survivor of a unit. He's down to 9 health and everyone except him in the unit's dead, but he still has maximum morale. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It should say in this list that he's got a massive penalty due to casualties sustained or something like that, or having no health. But that's not the case. Maybe the enemy general has some trait that makes his army unbreakable or something, although some other units did rout. Perhaps it's selective. Overall, not really sure why, but yes, we just couldn't get rid of the enemy even when they were nearly dead, and so they took us out because we did rout when nearly dead. This is the end of the battle. A valiant defeat. Both sides took a hammering, but we got hammered a bit more. We're going to suffer because if you lose a battle, the cutoff for where the game deletes a unit in terms of its strength is lower. So some enemy units that would have been deleted if they'd technically lost the battle are still alive. I guess if they lost the ambush, the whole army would be dead. And anyway, on our side, we lost a bunch of units and now we're in trouble. I thought they might pursue and attack me again, but they didn't. I'm guessing they're really weak as well, so they didn't feel like challenging us to another fight. So we get away with that at least. Up at that northern place, the Skaven rebels that were building up do go for an attack. My garrison's basically dead after it's sacked it. So down it goes, it becomes a ruin, and most likely actually became a Skaven settlement. Little pointless dilemma here, that's not important. What is important is what was happening just behind it. And that was us joining a war, or having a war joined upon us. The abominations are now at war with us. Not important right now, but I'm mentioning that specifically because it is going to be important in the next part, and I'll leave you to guess what exactly I mean by that. Now, we need to get our main force out of the danger zone and try to get some troops back. We can go into raiding stance, that gives us some replenishment, and we can also go back towards my almost arriving reinforcements. We can actually, as it turns out, get just into range of the Black Ark here, with the Black Ark right up against the coast, near an inlet over to the east. We can have both of these armies in range of the recruitment sphere. So first the reinforcement army gives a few units to look here, and then I can recruit a few more using the Black Ark's global recruitment thing, and even I can combine a couple of half-dead units and then replace them with the same unit but at full strength, thus dodging the need to wait for replenishment to get us back, although it does mean sacrificing some level ups on those units. The enemy army moves past us and goes to garrison the settlement, so no hopes of a quick capture coming after this. This is annoying because now they can replenish quickly there and recruit new units as well. They can probably get stronger faster than we can. So we need to do something, preferably something other than attacking the town, just because I think that would be hard. What I tried to do was this: we can have the main army hide while the lesser army raids, and because the AI doesn't remember where your big armies were after they disappear, the idea is they might just walk right through the ambush zone if I set it up between me and the small raiding army, and therefore get ambushed accidentally. Did some micro to make sure it was in the right place, and as we go into the end turn sequence, it does actually happen. They come out presumably going for the lesser army, and then we can just auto-resolve because both of our armies are in range of that ambush. And boom, down they go. That went better than expected. However, there is then another army that rushes into the settlement, so no capture after this either, and they also immediately start recruiting new units. So this enemy defender's advantage and their numerical advantage seems to be doing them some favours. At least we now have the Sword of Cain back. The enemy had it for a while because we lost that battle just previously, but now we've got it, so hopefully Locke can actually get some kills with this. He is still half dead though, so we don't really want to use him too much. As for this new army, it's got a mix of bad units and good units. I think it's a little bit weaker than the one we fought previously overall. I at first considered going for the town right now with everything. The thing is, the town still has that full stack garrison. The balance bar's very dissuading for me. It seems to be telling me not to do this, and even though I thought surely that second army full of skinks isn't all that much, I thought let's not do this. Plus, there's an extra consideration. That army we saw up north has come down here. It's just about crossed the border, and now it's also recruiting new units. So we're about to be attacked in a major way. That means we don't necessarily want to have a Pyrrhic victory or anything like that just before their reinforcements arrive. Instead, we're going to break the siege and go back to the previous strategy, that is to raid and ambush at the same time. And actually, it works again. Their army from up north starts coming down towards the town, gets ambushed, and gets absolutely annihilated thanks to us being able to unite our forces. However, I was so happy to see this and so quick to do the ambush, I completely forgot about the fact we have some nearly dead units in our army, and auto-resolve does not allow dead units to survive. So we lose both of our manticores and our melee specialist hero. That's actually really bad because we can't get those guys back anytime soon. The hero will eventually respawn, and we can re-recruit the manticores of course, but that's going to be a while. For now we are weakened by the outcome of that. I could have done a manual resolve perhaps to avoid it. For now though, we've still got another enemy army nearby, and with the success of this raid and ambush strategy, I thought why stop? I did another raid and ambush, and it works again. This seems to be the ultimate strategy when you're in an area like this where you can do ambushes pretty much anywhere. This time though, the enemy have 4 of those units of powerful flyers, unlike the 2 that gave us so much trouble before. So while the rest of the army doesn't look as powerful, we're still nowhere on the balance bar. Even with our reinforcements, we only just about get parity. Gonna have to fight this one manually next time.